you slid deep
Yeah.
into the witchcraft, where you would even call yourself a witch. And talk to us about that, because there's probably some young ladies and some young men in that spot right now where they're vulnerable and they're open emotionally. Take me back to that place mentally and emotionally. Where were you at that point where you felt like this was the right decision to make in your life at this point?
It was actually by accident. It was one of those things where I was in a weird place. I think I had just gotten into an argument with somebody. And I don't know if you've ever done this before, but there are a lot of people that look onto their horoscopes in order to like do a comparison between the compatibility of you and another person.
Oh, yeah.
Before dating them. And so that was kind of how I started. I went and looked at but I went and looked at my horoscope. And while looking at my horoscope was when it was like a little whisper that told me, why don't you go look on YouTube to see if anybody's talking about, your horoscope, and you can better understand it. And so I did. And that's when I realized that it was tarot cards that, where the whole message that you read is coming from. And so I kind of dove into that, and it became very, very, I was obsessed with it. I was waking up to it, going to sleep to it.
The tarot readings.
Yes, on YouTube.
It's so crazy. Like the tarot cards really go crazy. We were actually preparing for the show a couple days ago, and literally it was these two young ladies that were sitting in this like a pavilion where we typically work at, and you just overheard them talking about tarot cards, and the way they would speak about it is like it's like really have faith in what was going on. Like she's like, yeah, she said this and she said that, but it was so much emotion you could overhear in this conversation, and it's just kind of scary to think, that you can have this affliction toward just, I don't even know what to call it, like this thing.
Yeah.
And here, but what's even more interesting is that the horoscopes is like a gateway drug into it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that the horoscopes was connected to tarot cards, because it's very culturally acceptable to ask somebody, and probably one of the very first few questions.
Exactly.
What's your sign? First of all, that question is not in the Harlem. So you can gladly, and righteously get you a deck.
Is that a red flag if she asks you what's your sign?
I mean, honestly, I
Yes,
can't even.
it is.
But because the reality is, I don't even know if our culture even knows that this might be connected to something dark, because I think good people might even ask that, because again, culturally, we just about know some basic things about each one of these horoscopes.
Right.
We like, Cancers, I ain't messing with the Cancers, and I ain't never dating no Aquarius.
Yes.
But again, that actually got you saying to the tarot cards.
Yes.
So, okay, you get your deck of tarot cards, and you start learning and practicing just on YouTube?
Yeah, the first time I actually went and I didn't buy a tarot deck. I actually bought what they call angel cards. I, for some reason, thought that would be better, but it wasn't.
A little bit more Christian. We could put the angel in front of it.
Right. And so I didn't feel right about it. And so I immediately went and threw them away. But I kept listening to them. So I'm still being seduced by the spirit, you know what I mean, to go and buy more. So I did. I went from 1 to like 9. And so I didn't know what I was doing, but I was experimenting and trying to learn as I go. And I was actually praying to Jesus before doing them, thinking it was going to protect me while I was doing.
Oh, so you had an inkling that this was wrong.
I was raised Christian.
Got you.
But
you would pray to Jesus before to help you out going down the wrong path.
Exactly.
To kind of protect you.
It was like a little hybrid. It was like a little hybrid, kind of creating your own religion a little bit.
You know what? I wonder how many people do that. I wonder how many people.
A lot of people.
Literally pray before they do something they know is wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, first of all, that's a lot of people. I can imagine. It's a whole lot of people praying before they actually do something that they know they ain't got no business doing. But what's interesting here, let's actually talk about the horoscope aspect, because I still don't think we have context on that. What you got, Ryan?
I want to see if we can check in, because we had Delano work on the sound a little bit. I want to see if we can at least check in on Sarah.
Sarah, we still you there with us?
It's a war.
Nah, Sarah. Sarah still got some warfare going down on her Wi-Fi. It ain't happening, Sarah. I'm gonna keep checking in with you. Sarah.
Sarah, can you hear her? She's smiling. You can hear us then, right, Sarah?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
It's a little lag in it.
Okay,
It's a little lag.
A little lag. Well, look, we heard from Naja a bit, and if hopefully this works out for us. Otherwise, Sarah, we're gonna have to figure out we gotta do a solo episode.
Yeah.
but Sarah, let us know what was the catalyst, or I guess what was the thing that got you initially headed toward this kind of the darker spectrum of things spiritually.
Uh-oh. Nah, she ain't.
Yeah, so
Okay.
for me, it was kind of a much longer process that started off when I was young, when I was a teenager, but when I was still Christian, going to church, believing in Jesus. I had a lot of spiritual things happening in my life that, although I had explanations for, I know my pastor did try his hardest to give me explanations. I would see a lot of things. I would see shadows and figures walking around. I still connected to this real quick.
Oh, Sarah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a challenge right now to really hear you very clearly. So unfortunately, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to figure out how to table this here and bring you back on. We got to figure out another time we got the Wi-Fi straight, because I really don't want my people to miss this story. You got a great, incredible story, and I wouldn't want to go ahead and have people or misrepresent that story. So just hold tight for us backstage. We'll see if we can get it together, get it right. But I'm gonna actually keep the conversation pushing here, okay? So with it, Naja, let's actually go here back to you, because when it comes down to catching anybody up that's just arriving in the episode, Naja kind of caught us up on, you got into your horoscopes. Mm-hmm. It pushed you into the tarot cards. Mm-hmm. You really still was not necessarily feeling all the way good about it. Mm-hmm. So you adding a little bit of Jesus and a little bit of tarot, mm-hmm, all in at the same time.
Yes.
Now, why might somebody, why were you this curious? Like, why were you not just satisfied with where you were and what you were currently getting in, currently serving Christ, your God at that point? Mm-hmm. Why did you feel like you needed something else?
Well, for starters, I didn't have a relationship with him. Like a lot of Christians that go to church and they don't read the Bible. And I was one of those people. And so if you don't have a relationship with God and you don't read the Bible, then you're always going to be searching outside of, going to Christ. And that is exactly what I did. Typically the issue is that most people, they are impatient, and we want to know now. We want microwave answers or results. And that's typically the reason why most people go into witchcraft, is for that main reason, because we are impatient. And so I was impatient. Typically whenever we do pray and we ask for certain things, we don't get the answer right away. We have to wait for God to do it on his timing. But yet I decided that I wanted to. So when I went on to YouTube and I saw all of these tarot card readers, I became subscribed to at least 50 of them, like immediately.
You went crazy with it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And so everything that I saw, it was resonating with me. And so when you open that door and you see that, okay, there's some truth to this, that's what ensnares you, and that's what makes you keep going. And that's exactly what happened.
When you say it's some truth to it, what specifically do you mean by that?
So, you may actually look at something, or just like if you go to a psychic and for whatever reason, they may say or know something personal about you. And so because there might be 90% truth and 10% lie, you just assume, okay, this is what I need to accept and come into agreement with. But the difference is the source. So they're hearing from familiar spirits. we all have them following us. You know what I mean? They know our bloodline. They know about your grandmother, your parents, or whatever. And so all they're doing is whispering into her ear. She's channeling those spirits. And so that's how she's able to give you that information.
Man, that's so cool. You know, we actually had our stylist, actually, she's a Christian young lady, grew up Christian her whole life, but she told us in private that when her mom passed away, she had this deep desire to want to speak to her mom. Casually walking down the street, one of the psychics, you know, they charismatically spoke to her, complimented her, kind of brought her into the space. And, you know, next thing you know, they're pretty much having a conversation where they're telling her, look, I'm gonna have you talk to your mom. And even to this day, I just spoke to her a couple weeks ago, and she was like, you could not convince her that was not her mom.
Right.
Like, she was like, yo, Ty, it was things that only my mom knew. Like, nobody else on this earth could have known that my mom knew. So I know that I was talking to my mom.
Right.
And then she went, she felt like she got away with something there, but she had this deep desire to go back again. And she went back again.
Yep.
And she went back again. And she went back again. Yep. And it started getting, the things she said she got exposed to at that point, it got kind of crazy. So I see it, when you're saying there's this level of truth to it, there is this reality when you go into it that you flipping these tarot cards, and what the tarot card is showing you is actually aligned with what either will happen or have happened in your life.
Yeah. And typically it's not giving you a whole lot of truth when it comes to what's going to happen in your future, but a lot of times it is giving you more information about what you're currently doing, you know, who you're currently talking to, dealing with. And because it aligns, that's why people open themselves up to it. But the thing is, the messed up part about it is that when you do that, you're actually opening up a curse to yourself. You're like telling the devil, come in. You're opening yourself up spiritually once you come into agreement with that. So I opened a lot of doors. And so when I did that, all of those spirits start communicating with me.
I just get this visual of like the devil like opening the door and be like, hey, y'all come through. It's a party in here.
Yeah.
That's the visual I get from that.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, because, you know, when I see like the ladies doing the tarot readings and, you know, kind of the ladies into these different things, you know, a lot of them are very nice. You know, they seem like sweet people, you know, seem like, you know, doesn't seem like they're evil or, you know, got these alternative motives, or they're backed by this very dark source. So does that play into it? Like, does the actual person that's doing it play into it? Like, do you consider that at all? Like, who the information is actually coming from?
So it doesn't matter who it's coming from. It's the practice that's evil. You know what I mean? There are some people who know that they're doing it for an evil purpose, and then there are some people who actually think they're helping people. That was me.
Got it.
You know, I actually thought that I was talking to my angels, my spirit guides, as they call them. And, you know, I didn't know any different. I wasn't an evil person. I never did witchcraft that manipulated people's will. I was what you would call a white witch. So I would do certain things like the tarot, the, you know, pendulums, I became certified in Reiki, and it was typically more so for myself. It had nothing to do with anyone else trying to gain somebody else or put evil stuff on other people. So, you know, but it didn't make it any different. It was still demons that I was talking to.
I get it. And I really want to get some feedback from you regarding like how the people around you perceived it when you would introduce them to it. But before we do that, I know I wanted to check the temperature of the room. I dropped that poll. Did you tune into last week's episode with Tiffany Montgomery and Pastor Kevin Ewan? And 80% of people say they did. This is close to 700 votes. Wow. So yeah, so this the series is really going. So we every step of the series, we're getting a little bit deeper in how to protect ourselves spiritually. And I'm gonna get ready to close out this poll. And can we check on Sarah? Because the chat, we about 1,400 people deep in the chat. They're like, yo, we need this, okay? We need this UK flavor too. So let's check on Sarah.
All right, coming to the stage, Sarah. Are you hearing me?
It's a war. It's so, Sarah, let me tell you this.
It's a little delay.
But
it's a little delay.
This never really happens. I'm not really sure what's going on.
What you mean you're not sure what's going on, man?
It's a spiritual war.
We sure can. So Sarah, we got to kind of catch up with you a little bit. Let us know, you started kicking it off with kind of how you got into these spiritual practices. So let us know, how did things get started?
Somebody said just fly sis out. We're going to have to fly out.
We got to fly out. This is crazy.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Sarah. Listen, we trying, Sarah. We trying. They see us trying. Y'all see us trying, fam? We got to get this message up out of you, Sarah. We going to make it happen somehow.
Every single time it's come time for me to tell my testimony, there's been chaos. No matter where I've been, there's always been technical difficulties.
Oh, my goodness. I really hate to hear that, Sarah, because I will tell you this, that Sarah's got a truly incredible story that I've heard myself. We're going to figure out how to get it to the people. We're going to figure it out. But just keep staying patient with us, because we're gonna take a stab at this again, Sarah, okay?
It tried to do that to me last week.
Oh, man, listen. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. All right. So let's actually go into this here. I actually want to go into this here because I'm curious about this part, because this is really what I wanted to talk to Sarah about in particular, because she had a really good story about actually having these different relationships, because that's the thing about it. You start having these relationships with these spirits because they are the ones who are pretty much guiding you and giving you this knowledge, giving you this information, that you become equipped with when you get into this world.
Right.
That relationship that you had, how deep did it go with the spirit that you was really moving with when you was, in the craft?
Well, I mean, I would do tarot readings every day, several times a day.
For other people?
No. Well, I did it for like people that were close to me or friends. I didn't advertise it to do it. But it was one of those things where it was like I looked to it daily for guidance. It even convinced me to drop, because we say Holy Spirit, drop holy and just say spirit. So opening up those spiritual doors, it ended up opening up my ear. My ear would start ringing, a very piercing sound. And so whenever I would actually say, spirit, are you here? My ear would start ringing. And it would let me know that it was around. So I had a pretty close relationship, but again, I thought it was my angels. And so
you thought those were angels at the time while you were in it?
Yeah, I did. Because they would do things or give me information that was positive. So you don't assume that it's anything negative. So it would tell me to change my diet, or, tell me to apologize to somebody if I got into an argument. So it was convicting me. So that's how it actually tricks you into making you think that you're actually doing something good, because it's like, oh, hey, it's trying to make me a better person. So a lot of people that go into this, they feel like they're actually becoming a better person, but instead it's the opposite.
Wow. And at this point, you still, even at the deepest level, you still had this relationship with Christ while you were practicing, or did you just at one point completely move away?
I did. I completely moved away. Because I didn't really have a relationship with Christ. I believed in him, but I didn't have a relationship. I didn't know his word. So to know him is to know his word. I did not know his word. I was too intimidated to open the Bible and talk to him.
But see, here's the thing, though. I don't think most Christians are really reading the Bible.
No.
Do you really need to read the Bible to have a relationship with God?
Absolutely.
So if you're not reading the Bible, you don't have a relationship with God.
You do not.
Now why is that?
Because to know him is to know his word. You don't know him or his character if you don't read his word. When we pray, that's us talking to him. But when we read his word, that's him talking to us.
Oh, that's true.
So there's no conversation if you're not reading his word.
But this is but people just be sitting down and they said, but God said and God told me. Pastor Ewan just literally talked about how God can talk to you in his dreams, right? People always say the Holy Spirit told me this. And that's not necessarily from reading. So if you're Because this is my thing. It's like it's tricky because I still think we're spiritual beings. Like, for example, at one point we were slaves, right? We weren't even allowed to damn read, right? Like, like we weren't even allowed to open a book. So at that point, is it just that all those generations of black people just never had God speak to them?
Well, the slaves, that's going in a whole nother direction.
Well, I mean,
they practice witchcraft.
Even the Christian slaves?
Now, the Christian slaves, there were Christian slaves who did have, the oldest Bible is Ethiopian. Mm-hmm. So there was a Bible for them to read. So, I mean, I don't know. It's when you go that deep, it's like you can't tell who was practicing what and who was practicing Christianity.
Yeah.
And back then, the Bible that they had, it was manipulated. There was like an actual Bible that slaves had where they took certain things out that they could not read. So, you can still believe in Jesus and he can still give you signs or, dreams or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't mean you know him.
Okay. It's I want to actually go into some of the practices too, because when we were talking before the show, you actually was really putting me on some game that I never knew, especially with how you called it testing the spirit, right? How a lot of these things that we might feel are, I guess just innocent in some ways, are actually connected or even born from these demonic entities. And this part is where it gets really tricky to me. And you starting back at the horoscopes, the Aquarius concept, the Gemini, the Capricorn.
Yeah.
You told me that actually was born from demonic sources.
Yes.
So give me more information on that.
It was the Babylonians that came up with the zodiac names, the figures, everything associated with that. So that wasn't something that, God created. People like to say, astronomy, were the stars and stuff like that. God gave us those for signs of the times, not for us to associate ourselves with them and our characteristics. So those, each zodiac sign is the characteristic of a demon. Each one of those is a demon because the Babylonians practiced witchcraft, and they're the ones that it was birthed from. They're the ones that came up with it and what associates with each sign. So whenever you say, hey, I'm a Capricorn, and let's just say you Google, if you are a Scorpio and you Google the characteristics of a Scorpio, there's not just good things, there's also bad things, right?
That's true.
So we're supposed to be modeling the characteristic of God, right? We're supposed to be acting or living like him. Our characteristics of the fruit is supposed to look like Christ.
Yeah.
But if, let's just say, for example, Scorpio, one of them is rebellion, like.
And you know what's crazy about that is I've had many experiences where I've spoken to specifically women who would like really what's the word, like
defend
not that like it was hype to them, like, hey, yeah, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm rebellious, or I'm this, so I'm got a bad attitude.
And, and by the way, it's a lot of Christian women.
Yeah,
that say that, like like, oh no,
they really claim it.
I'm Scorpio, that's why you going.
That's why I'm feisty or something like that, all kind of unruly stuff going on.
Yeah, you're taking on the characteristic of that demon. When you say I am a Scorpio or I am a Capricorn, those characteristics are characteristics of a demon. So you're coming into agreement with it.
Coming into agreement with it.
Yes.
I do know I am is one of the most powerful things you can say.
Yeah.
And whatever follows that is an extremely powerful statement to your spirit, to your mind, your subconscious, your conscious, and everything else.
They literally create circumstance.
Yes. And wow. First of all, let's drop that question in the chat. I want to see how honest the chat is willing to be. I want to know how many of our members in the chat identify with their horoscope.
Okay, now when you say identify with it, give some more detail. So
identify meaning you actually whatever, you're an Aquarius, you're a Capricorn, you're an Aries, you identify with the characteristics of that sign. You claim those characteristics as a part of your being. Because I honestly know, man, and y'all don't lie now. I should have asked that question before we got into this, because I know how the chat get. It's anonymous, so y'all can keep it real. But this is not meant for judgment. It's meant for us to really understand just where we are as a culture, guys. So I want to get a real good understanding of that.
And roll that by me one more time. Put it in.
So
do you
identify with your, what is that sign? What do you call it again?
Sign.
Zodiac sign. That's the word. You with your zodiac sign. Give me a yes or a no, and keep it all the way funky in the chat. All right. Now, when you start talking about the tarot cards, it's tricky. Let me know you dropped that poll, by the way, Ryan.
I dropped that poll. Let me tell you.
There you have it. The poll has dropped, guys.
I'm laughing because Sarah like, listen, y'all can give me the damn show. Okay?
Sarah backstage fighting, y'all. She, as you should. As you should.
I think she hears us now. I think she done moved location. She done restarted her computer. She done got everything going on.
Okay, hold on, wait.
We got the poll going.
We got the poll going. Let me see if this could work, guys. Y'all be patient with us this episode. We trying to make this thing happen.
And the chat is steadily growing.
Yes, it is.
1,700 people in the chat right now. So I mean, y'all are being very patient right now, which we appreciate.
Sarah, you can hear us? I can hear you.
Wow.
I can't hear. It's a little delay, but as long as you can hear me, I feel good. Do you feel good? Oh Lord.
It's a war.
Okay, good. So really, every time you ask Sarah a question, you just got to play the "It's a War."
I got
and
to.
then it's gonna slide right in.
I got to.
So Sarah, we got that poll up, okay? And while we running that poll, guys, go ahead and fill that out. We got over 400 votes. Do you identify with your zodiac sign? I already see a bunch. Listen, they need to read the word because there's some straight liars in the chat right now. But I'm not gonna judge y'all. I'm gonna hold my judgment. And Sarah, listen, Sarah, catch us up, okay? I want you to catch us up and let us know. Because I want this to be really the last time I ask you this. How did you get into this type of spiritual experimentation?
Yeah, witchcraft.
It's a war.
Okay, so I want to be specific about the type of witchcraft I got into. So although I started off doing like new agey kind of manifestation type stuff, what I said before we had like the technical difficulties is, since I was a teenager, I'd kind of already started being trained in witchcraft without even realizing. Because in my dreams, I'd have people visiting me and telling me, okay, this is your first lesson. I'm going to teach you how to levitate. Then they'd come again. This is the next lesson. I'm going to teach you how to cast spells. And this is all whilst I believed in Jesus. And I was quite distressed about this. I'd have dreams of people coming and presenting me human flesh and blood and telling me to eat it. And from that, beginning to have abilities in the natural realm that I didn't have before. So after quite a lot of trauma, I experienced quite a lot of trauma. I've experienced molestation, being I don't want to say the exact word because I know on YouTube you may get flagged, but non-consensual sex, a manager taking advantage of me. So a lot of these things started causing me to become disillusioned with the idea that there is a good God that is protecting. Really, I would get prayed for, but all of these things, the sleep paralysis, the voices, the visitations, it kept continuing to happen. So eventually I started exploring, started trying to open up my third eye, and indeed I started seeing visions and experiencing things from that. As I got a little bit deeper, because I had this desire to be protected, I started doing things like sigils for protection. So these are like drawn symbols that you do that are spiritually charged and that can apparently ward off evil and ward off negativity and all these types of stuff. As I began to study more and more into these things, I started going down what you'd call the left-hand path. So this is what you describe more as Satanism or Luciferianism, things that use taboos that society doesn't like, but it has a lot of information or knowledge and power in it. So as I was in this space, eventually after a while of with my spirit guides, learning how to work with demons, learning how to summon demons, learning different deities, spirits, how to give them offerings, how to work with them, things like this. I ended up having an encounter with Lucifer. I had a few encounters actually. And
Hold on, wait. So
so
we
the
got to
type
get some
of witchcraft
context
that
on
you
this.
say I would do is
And I know it's a delay,
Yeah.
but I want to ask because
I'd
that's a
have to
very
talk
important
longer.
part of the conversation. Because how did you know that was Lucifer? Because that's a bold statement to say that you had an encounter with Lucifer.
Yes.
It's a
So
war.
the way that I can explain it is the same way that people can feel presences in their room and know that this is a demonic presence. Like you didn't ask the spirit, like, are you here for good or bad? Like you innately knew. Or for example, when somebody prays for someone and they feel the calming and they know like, oh wow, this feels like God, like this feels good. It's the same way that when he brings his presence into a room, it's even if you don't know the rank and what you'd call his presence takes up the whole space and the whole room, and it's almost like when he comes in you automatically know. I've had spirits or what you'd call deities when I was in that space that would enter a room who they are, and I would have to ask. For example, from my last testimony, if you guys watched it, I shared an experience with meeting or encountering the goddess Aphrodite, who asked me for a very specific offering that when I looked it up, because I was like, Greek gods aren't real. When I looked it up, indeed, the same offering she asked me for is the one that is commonly used, or in the Greek times, they commonly used to give her. So I'm just comparing that to when Lucifer walks in, without a doubt, you are certain. And also just pulling on a scripture here, when Paul himself like an angel of light, like he presents himself like an angel of light, and knowing that the word Lucifer, right, in the Latin, because that's where it comes from, it is the light bearer. So when he comes in, it's almost like this feeling of complete illumination that fills the whole.
I get it. She's saying that pretty much when the devil show up.
So pretty much that it was a feeling and a presence that just took over the whole room. And first of all, just by the way, because it's heavy right now, we doing our best. Sarah, thank you so much for being resilient around getting this connection together, because you really gave us a ton here, because you pretty much started us from the journey of the beginning of your faith already being in a rocky place based on your trauma. And based on all the things that you've experienced, you began to question that a God even existed, because of how unprotected you have been your entire life, which pretty much opened you up to go down the rabbit hole to actually start experiencing essentially, or experimenting, I would say, in your own life, essentially what it seems like you're doing is seeking, trying to find God. And you found what you found. And again, this practice that you were practicing, again, what is this practice called?
And can we get some detail on what New Age is?
That's a good question right there.
Yes. So I was probably what you'd call, so I was a Luciferian in the sense that I believed in the tenets of what Lucifer represents, and just the idea of the whole Luciferian premise is during the garden situation. So I that Yahweh existed, but I believe that he was the bad guy, essentially. So that Lucifer, when he came in to give the apple to Eve and to Adam, it was the best thing that happened to humanity, because God was trying to keep knowledge and power away from us. So that's kind of what I believed. And then the type of witchcraft I did was elemental witchcraft. So there's loads of different forms of witchcraft. So when people just say, okay, witch this or witch what are you doing? So an elemental witch is a witch that uses the 4 elements. So I use things like water, fire, earth, air to bring in manifestations and to basically do things. But you have up to 5 key types of witches. And then even in that, you have African witchcraft, you have Asian witchcraft, you have European witchcraft. So all of them are different. They're different.
Wow. Wow. I never knew. You really broke down what that Luciferian concept was. I never knew that that's how they looked at the story, even the origin story, which is really, 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 really fascinating. I know you talk about how trauma and just in general, demons use trauma to access us. And this part is extremely important because trauma is a part of life that we just can't avoid. So all of us are susceptible to this. But can you just give us some details about how does trauma affect and open you up to these experiences? Uh-oh.
Sorry, you broke up the last bit there. You're asking how does trauma do what?
How does trauma open you up and affect you and really open you up to demons and these different experiences that you could have?
Okay, so first, if we're looking at demons or the idea of demons, one thing that I think gets Christians is you have a very narrow view of what a demonic experience actually is. So when you look at the root word of demon, or where it began, the word is daimon, and that word doesn't necessarily mean a malevolent being. It doesn't mean something that's outwardly aggressive or explicitly evil or scary. So throughout the ages, you see people dealing with different spirits and different gods and all this type of stuff. And as different scripts began to be written and more of the Jewish more the Jewish text, you could begin to see the word demon. It means something exclusively evil. So when Paul writes when it's written other nations' gods in the original, now after the Greek version of the Bible is written later on, it means just demons. It doesn't even refer to them sometimes as gods. It just refers to them. Somebody goes through like an experience that's really traumatic, they can meet or encounter a demon that can come to them friendly, like the way that the devil first came to Jesus in Matthew 4, saying, "Oh, you've been fasting, you're so hungry. Why don't you have some bread?" You know what I mean? They sometimes come as these experiences where it's like, we want to heal you, we want to help you, we want to help you heal, help you get your own power back. So that's how a lot of people very easily fall into these different witchcraft encounters and all this type of stuff. But how demons kind of get in through that is when people go through trauma, their mind can split. They can go through real experiences that cause them to have these weird personality issues that can cause them to isolate and all of these things. And this experience, sometimes you begin to think that you already have depression, but it amplifies. If you're dealing with unforgiveness, demons and spirits latch on to things like unforgiveness. I've done deliverance sessions where all that needed to happen is somebody needed to forgive. And immediately that demon started spiraling out. The spirit in them started to come out. Sometimes a healing that needed to happen was just a person verbally saying, "I forgive the ABCD."
Wow. And Naja, what's your take on the how trauma can open you up for these different spiritual encounters?
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, whenever you are dealing with trauma, like for example, whenever a child is inappropriately touched, that's a form of trauma, and that opens them up spiritually. There's a such thing as these demons transferring onto you through the trauma. So if somebody is dealing with trauma because they their parent wasn't there. The spirit of rejection immediately comes in. So it's just a gateway. Whenever you go through trauma, it's an open door.
That's a scary thing.
It is, because I mean, that's the reality of it is, it's not many people who have not experienced trauma,
Right.
you know? And what's really interesting to me is that, you know, we've had a bunch of therapists on the platform, and to some degree, they say the exact same things in different ways, right? Like, they might say that because of your sexual abuse as a child, you use sex to cope. It creates these different addictions or these different habits. So somebody might just think it's an addiction that they may need to break, or, you know, this is just a way that they're, you know, coping, where when I'm talking to my, you know, anyone who's spiritual, or my Christians in particular, it's a spirit.
Yeah,
Actually, that's on to you.
it is.
It's a spirit that's on to you, which is interesting. The same concept, it's like the same lessons and principle, but considering that that's a demon, it's interesting because, and by the way, we're doing one of the most powerful episodes. We're going to close out the series on deliverance. We're going to go deep into deliverance, but essentially healing and focusing on healing that trauma actually is one of the major ways, Sarah, based on what Sarah just communicated, to help remove that from your body, remove that demon, that spirit from your body,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes, I do deliverance. I cast out demons. So been doing it for 2 years. And I can tell you that they go through the process of renouncing, which is to break any, you know, spiritual legal, you know, attachment to the enemy. And I mean, the demons come out, literally. So it's necessary, because a lot of times you don't know if it's coming from sins that you did, sins that your parents did generationally, some things that you may not even know is there. So it's necessary.
Now let's talk about this, because when I see Reiki, right, and when I see Reiki happening, it seems like that is this different form of deliverance in this way, where you're healing the person's energy, right, removing the trauma from their body, but in a different way. But you told me earlier that ain't even really what's happened. Break down this concept of Reiki to me, so we can understand what Reiki is, because you got certified in Reiki as well, right?
Yes.
And it seems to be becoming very, very popular as well.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on that?
So, well, basically, first of all, because of the doors that I opened, when I was in my sleep, one of the spirits spoke to me and said, "You're going to heal people's energy." I didn't know what that was. So immediately I got up and started searching for it. And that's when I realized it was Reiki. I immediately found other people that were, because you have to get certified from a master.
Right.
And so I did the classes, got certified, but through the process of getting certified, it's a ritual. And so first you learn the, you know, text, and then they do what they call attunements. So I'm sitting outside in a chair. The Reiki master is doing ritualistic stuff over me. She's drawing over my head, blowing in my hands, drawing Japanese symbols everywhere. And what it's supposed to do is invite in the spirit that assists you with the energy healing.
Wait.
Okay. Wait. That is wild. So you invite the spirit
into you,
inside of you.
Yes, to perform the Reiki on people.
So it's like a form of like possession.
Yes.
I don't even know why you would do that. That's crazy.
Wait. Do the people that's getting involved in it, do they know that that's what's happening?
They do not.
Oh, they think they just get this power or these abilities just from.
So, no, I thought you were talking about the people that's actually getting the services.
Yeah, the people that's getting the services, do they know that they're being possessed, or do they just feel like they're about to get
So the people
healed?
that's getting the services are not being possessed. The person who is getting certified.
The practitioner is being receptive of the spirit to pretty much possess them.
Yes.
To now have this ability to heal.
Exactly. And it's not even healing. I mean, because when you're actually doing a session, we go into, I guess the person's laying on the table, and we stand before we get ready to do it, and we call in our spiritual team, not the Holy Spirit, but these Japanese demons, to assist us with the healing process. And so you don't even have to touch the person. You literally just wave your hand over the chakras, which are the energy centers of the body, which we're not supposed to be manipulating.
Wow.
And you'll feel certain things. It puts them to sleep. They see colors. And even the practitioner will get like psychic, like thoughts about the person. The spirit will tell us stuff.
When you call them, like, what do you, don't say it.
No.
Oh, okay. but like, what do you say? Is it like
exactly what I just said? You just say, hey, I call in my spiritual team to assist me with this healing. And you already have.
I denounce that.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I got something actually pretty interesting for the audience, because we actually have a visual for you guys to actually be able to see it. You sent this over to me so you guys can get a visual of what this looks like, because again, this is a very popular concept. And based on how she broke it down, you got to be able to identify when this is actually going down. Delano, cue the tape.
I don't think people really know or realize what real healing work looks like, what it really does to the body, how deep it goes, the layers that healing work has. What you're witnessing here is two of my good sisters doing Reiki work over our attendees for our healing retreat, while I am simultaneously playing the singing bowls to help move and open up that vortex of energy. We remove trauma, years of pain, years of hurt, and a lot of times when the healing practitioner is removing that heavy energy off of someone, it transfers to them and they can feel it deeply within their entire being. And so even the healer has to go cleanse and release and let go of what was taken from you. And so when we do this healing work and we have these retreats, I think it's so very important to see and know what real healing work is.
That kind of gave me chills, though. That's crazy. It was really going down in there. Something was happening because there was a lot of emotion up in there.
Oh, yeah.
So she literally caught that. Like, she went from healing the lady to pretty much in full blown crying and embracing it. So, and that was a spirit that moved to her. See,
it's so weird to even explain the spiritual aspect that's going on, because everybody's experience is different. Because you're opening the centers of the body supposedly to heal them, whether emotionally, and for some people it's physical healing that they think that they're receiving. But while you may get what seems like it's being patched, so it seems like you actually are getting some type of results from it, you're actually just opening yourself up more spiritually for something else that you may not even tie it to that is taking place. So yeah, it's
now here's the thing, and this might sound crazy, but the person, are they better off? Like, no. Because it seems like something left their body, but did the pain actually leave and something else go in there, or did the pain like fully leave their body?
So yeah, it's like an exchange. So while you're thinking that it's being healed because of the experience, the physical experience that you're having, it makes you think that it's being healed. It will patch it. So if you go in there, you may think you felt, your back was hurting. You went in there, got healed from your back. Your back may stop hurting for a period of time, but then now you having crazy intrusive thoughts. You see what I'm saying?
I see.
So
there's a whole finesse game going in there.
It's a trade-off.
Now the thing is, this young lady, I'm sure she posted that, and she truly believes that she is actually healing these women. I mean, it's a whole group of women in there.
Yes.
They all getting down with this energy exchange.
It's a lot of people that's doing it. I mean, you even have to be careful with getting massages, because there are people who are certified in Reiki and they will give it to you without telling you.
How can they do that?
Getting them demonic endings.
Oh my!
Was that a bad joke?
This bad joke. That was a dark joke, y'all.
Oh goodness!
So it's kind of wild, because I'm at Juneteenth. Piedmont has a Juneteenth festival this weekend. It's 2 days, bunch of tents set up. You walk around. They got food trucks. They got all these different things that you can stop by and see. Very cute, sweet lady. Light voice, great energy. She walks by. Hey, giving free massages over here. I'm like, no, thank you. Come on, let me just, come on. Just sweet. And I go over there. I look into the tent because she's just being so nice and sweet. Just come get a card. I grab the card. And that's what I see. I see healing sessions, Reiki, so on and so forth. And that's the interesting thing. I think, unless I'm gullible, that young lady seems like she's really in this to do good for anybody that comes into her, to comes in there. She wants to service them. She really wants to take care. She wants to heal.
Right.
She might even have that spirit of a healer, truly. Might be connected to her purpose, and this is how she found the way to do it. Is this completely separate from intentions? No matter how pure your intentions is, are you saying there's no way that this could ever truly heal the people that you service?
Never, ever. Because that would be like assuming that the devil can heal you, or that he even wants to. And he does not. No, absolutely not.
I'm just really blown away by that scene we just played. Like that was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot. But see, it's important that we go over these because there's a lot of things right now, and I think this is probably would all of this go under that umbrella of New Age that we talk about?
Yes, it does.
There's a lot of these things that I'm seeing on my timelines. I'm seeing just around as businesses popping up.
Oh yeah, the shops is open, the crystal shops and all of that, they opening up left and right.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of us don't really understand the spiritual implications of getting involved with these different things. And what yours really driving home, guys, and I think this is so important to understand, we don't know where a lot of these things spiritually originate. Right. Like even down from the physical objects, because you even broke down, we talked about it a bit when Pastor Kevin was on. You did a whole video on waist beads.
Right.
And I like waist beads. I thought waist beads are sexy. When a woman got some nice little waist beads on.
And I thought it was for just like weight management or kind of.
I heard a woman say that.
That's what I thought it was for.
Yeah. I mean,
talk about that.
Wait, hold on. Before you do that, let me close this out because we asked the poll pretty much
the zodiac
sign, right? So who was participating in this gateway drug to demonic spirituality? And it looks like, do you identify with your zodiac sign? And only 24, over 1,000 votes, only 24% of people say yes. And I think, I guess we were using identify loosely, but if you typically have conversations about your zodiac, if you claim it sometimes, hey, I'm Aries, so I do this. Hey, you Sagittarius, so you must be like this. Even if you just bring it up in casual conversation, you really are identifying with it. So I'm not sure how accurate that was based on that, but we do have some people that at least identifying with it, which is why we bringing it to the conversation today.
That's interesting. Okay.
I mean, it has to be more people than that simply because I would say about half the young ladies I dealt with in the past, at some point, the zodiac sign come up. Probably more than half.
You're dealing with them demons, though.
No. I'm truly changed. I'm not dealing with that. That's a red flag to me now.
It should be.
It's a red flag.
Yes.
No, you go way too hard facts. I'm honestly, even before I knew that it was connected to anything demonic, I just thought it was just so crazy to me how you would go so deep in justifying all of your personality traits by the zodiac. I just thought that was an excuse not to change a cop out anyway. But let's go. Let's actually transition over to the waist beads, though.
Okay.
What did you educate us that Pastor Kevin ended up reposting about these waist beads?
Yeah. So the waist beads, of course, they aesthetically look nice, and as you said, you told me that people feel that, or you felt like they were sexy for women.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they originated from the Yoruba tribe in Africa. And so the Yoruba people, they worship multiple gods. And the purpose behind them when they created them was it represented like their economic status. They used it for fertility, for healing, for sexuality, for protection, for wealth. And so when you're using physical objects like this for a spiritual purpose, and you already know that they worship in 401 gods, lowercase g, then why would you want to come into agreement with that type of cultural practice?
So, man, it's kind of crazy. So you saying essentially it came, I just really hate to think, because I started out, a part of my journey learning and seeking truth, getting woke, and getting conscious. You know, in the woke conscious community, we learn to really respect and show love to the ancestors, right? And it's just really, it sucks to really think that a lot of what was being practiced is connected to things that are demonic. That actually, that really does almost hurt my connection. It's almost confusing, almost from an identity perspective, you know, from like a physical bloodline perspective.
Yeah.
To think that like your bloodline was connected to these things when you want to hold your ancestors in high regard.
Right.
You know, but everything I hear about African spirituality is connected to that. I want to actually do a whole episode on, you know, really sourcing your, you know, the balance between your spiritual and physical identity, because
and your ancestry,
and your ancestry and your bloodline, you know, because I just assumed, especially when I was in that phase, anything that comes from the motherland is better for us than what we getting right here.
And that's the problem. That's why so many people are falling into these practices of African spirituality, because they feel like they're supposed to go back to their roots, you know?
I get the sentiment, though, because when you think of Christianity, you think of white. Like, even when I, you know, think of Jesus, the first image pop in my head, he's white. That's the first image that pops in my head. And it's not because that's what I want to think. It's just because that was the image that you've seen over and over and over and over and over again. So I just have empathy for those people who are like, hey, I can't get with this because of the imagery that's in my head, and because I don't feel very spiritually, or I don't feel ancestrally connected to it. So I understand, you know what I mean? And because we even have a lot of people when we have these conversations, they're like, yo, I rock with y'all, but this is the white man's religion, you know?
Which is crazy.
So it, you know, it just sucks, you know, that, you know, when they go start digging into these different things, a lot of them end up stumbling upon witchcraft, unfortunately.
I ain't gonna lie though, it's funny, that's why it's important to read the Bible for yourself too. Thankfully, I did grow up in a house. I grew up in a house seeing a black Jesus with dreadlocks on the wall. So we grew up like it was a real gangster looking Jesus in the house that I grew up. Real or I should say masculine, black and masculine looking version of Christ that we saw, which I think is very important. Yeah, you know, with how you kind of connect and almost see yourself in God, which is another really strange psychological. You really do. But, you know, it's funny, actually reading Matthew for myself for the first time. Like, you know, Jesus sounded like he got some dreads when you actually read the text. He had to be like, black. Or just man, he wasn't soft. He didn't have them soft, rosy cheeks, I'll tell you that, because he was it wasn't nothing soft.
He was well tanned. Had a lot of melanin, spent a lot of time outside, no sunscreen needed.
Oh, my goodness.
So, you know, it's interesting as you break this down, because what are some, you know, other things that you might think that we just generally need to watch out for with things that are catching popularity on social media, things that, you know, we're probably regularly running into at the shops or on a day-to-day? Is there anything else that we may not have covered that you think we need to talk about here with the audience today?
Well, for some odd reason, I don't know why people do not want to let go of yoga. Like Christians. I mean, I literally just saw a post yesterday that I reposted,